everybody. Welcome to the Mother Load Show. I am Steve, and I mean, here as always, I couldn't possibly do the show without her. So, of course, she's here. Sandra Brunson, how are you today?
I'm doing well, thanks. And how are you?
I'm good. Yeah. I'm really excited about our guests. So I've had just a little taste of interaction with her so far, and I can't.
The energy. Like she's brilliant. I told you
you did. You set the bar like as high as my arm will go, and it's already exceeded that. So I'm excited.
Awesome.
How things been for you?
Things have been well. I can't complain. It's good to be back.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
And you made it here in the weird weather and all that good stuff.
Yeah,
so
all that good stuff, but I'm here.
All right. Well, I think we should jump right in.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about.
Okay. Yes. So tell us about our guest today.
Our guest, she is the CEO of the Dallas Mavericks.
Okay.
Let's start there.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. First African-American female CEO of the Dallas Mavericks.
Okay.
Or in the NBA.
Any NBA team.
In the NBA team.
Yeah.
Yes, correct. And so she has a series of firsts. She's a trailblazer. Her story is phenomenal. I feel like it's just an honor and a blessing to know this woman on a personal level. And I just want everyone that comes across my path to just understand and get a glimpse of who she is, and what she means to me and so many other people. She, again, CEO, executive with AT&T for many, many, many years, over 30 years. She is the mother of 4 wonderful children, wife to Kenny, if I could say Kenny, but it's Kenneth, of course. Okay. But she says Kenny, so I'm going to say Kenny.
Okay. All right.
And, but just, she is just a blessing to all that have come to know her. And I'm so fortunate to be able to introduce you to her as my friend, my sister, and hope that we have a great show. Cynt Marshall, everyone.
Yeah. Hey, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so glad we're able to do this. Sandra Brunson, Sam, my sister. It's so good to see you.
Great to see you. Great to see you.
Good to see you. Oh my God.
Good to see you as well. You. I don't think you have an idea of when we first kicked around this idea for the show, and we were like, all right, well, we should have some guests on. I mean, your name was the first, like immediately the first thing that came out of her mouth. So
that makes me feel good. I love that woman.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, welcome to the Mother Load. And I mean, where do we start? Because I mean, not that there should be an elephant in the room, but your son played for her team for a while. So
we can start there when I first met her.
I love him. He's like my nephew.
Okay. Yes. All right.
Yes. And that's a compliment. And he loves her too. I can tell you how I first met her, and when I first met her, what energy she gave me. Since I don't know if you remembered, I think I sent you a picture when I first met you after Jalen and Luka were drafted.
Yes.
And we come into the business side, the operation side. And this is my first go around on any level with respect to having a draft pick son and so forth. I have a background with my husband, but there's nothing like your child being front and center. When I met you, it literally gives me goosebumps, and I feel like I want to shed a tear or two. But when I first met you, how you held that room, you controlled that room. I mean, you were in the middle talking, you had the microphone, and then after you introduced yourself and just gave a pathway for the business side and the basketball side and how you were going to work together, the synergy, that was amazing in itself. However, for me, after we exchanged pleasantries, you literally held my shoulders. You looked me straight in the eye and just said to me, whatever you need is whatever you need. We are here. I am here.
Yes.
And I could have melted right then. Okay. And I don't know if it was maybe my family's journey and so forth or so on that you knew of, but I felt so at a time where I felt vulnerable because this is all new to me and my son and this, but you brought a sense of calm and a sense of I literally was injected with a sense of calmness, poise, confidence. I don't know if you do that to many people. I swear to you, when you meet them, I'm going to tell you the truth.
My guess is yes, she does.
That makes me feel good though, because I do remember that day. And I
remember
I do remember that day, and I hadn't been there that long. I remember that day, and I also remember just thinking about it. I think from like being a mother, it's like you are kind of dropping your son off. I mean, not that you wouldn't see him again. Of course, you're going to be at the games and all that, but you are dropping your son off because, I mean, that's your son. I mean, Jalen is not just a phenomenal young man and a phenomenal athlete and a phenomenal basketball player. He's your son first. And that's how I saw it, that here is this mother who has poured so much into her children. And here's one of them, the oldest, getting kind of dropped into this new environment. And I just wanted you to know that I had you and had him, and that we would do right by him, and we would take care of you, and literally whatever you needed, you just needed to call. I mean, I felt it, and I'm just so glad the Lord put us together. We were meant to be together.
I truly felt that after that, and I became a believer of all things Cynt. I'll get into that, right? That might sound like a lot, and for some who don't know you, but your story, your journey. I mean, the production team here, they know probably more about you than most people who haven't read your book, because I have literally tried to give them a sense of what I've come to know of you. And your story is phenomenal. First of all, your book, congratulations on the book.
Amazing.
Okay? Amazing. I'm still waiting for my signed copy. Please.
We did it. Oh, I haven't done that yet. Oh my goodness.
No,
okay.
I told you I haven't, but I'll bring it to you and you can sign mine.
How could she sign an Audible book is what I'm thinking of, because that's how I have it. I have it on Audible, so I'll have to figure that part out.
Oh, I love it. We'll figure it out. All right. A signed book that you can just put somewhere, though, even though you listen to it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, perfect. But your congratulations on the book. It's doing well. Yes. I shared that with Steve, and once the book came out, I was like, whoa, like, okay, I'm not finished with the book. Okay. I'm just going to tell you that, be honest, but I feel like you're talking to me. Literally, I hear your voice. I hear you, and everything that I believe every word of it, because that's who you are. Yes. Your book is who you are.
It is.
And for those of you who want to get to know her, read the book, because that is all you.
It's me. It's my story. It is my story. I mean, even when I was doing the Audible version, and I'm an upbeat, kind of hyper kind of person, right? And so that's how I was reading it. And then they stopped me, and I don't want to give away what's in the book, but they said, were you this hyper and excited when you were going through? And they started rattling off some of the trials and tribulations. Yeah. And they said, we need you to read it like you felt it. And then I had to go back, and they said, no, we need you to read it like it's you, like what you were experiencing. And after those 2 days, I was wiped out, because you're right, it's me. I gave you me, because that's all I know. That is all I know. And so it is my story. It's, it was supposed to be just my cancer journey, but then they pulled out all these other life stories and weaved them in my 12 rounds of chemo. And so what you get is me. You've been chosen. That's all me. Chosen for a whole lot of stuff.
You're so positive. Did you get that? Do you feel this?
No, I absolutely do. And just to be able to use so many tough situations, right? And then for her to still be smiling, and that was her thing, is I got to scale it back and add some sadness to it, because from you and what I've read and what Sandra's told me is, everything happened for a reason, right? And so out of that is what you're, the joy in your book, but people probably couldn't understand that if you're joyously talking about some of these topics that are in there. So
right, exactly. Like even when people who have read the book now they said, okay, we get it. Like we get it.
Right.
And people ask my husband all the time, is she like this all the time? Is she upbeat all the time? Is she this happy all the time? And he says, yes. I mean, they ask my kids. I mean, I have days where, stuff happens and I'm not smiling all the time. But once they read the book, then they get it. Right. Because they understand I have a lot to smile about, because I've actually been through a lot, and I've seen a lot, and they get it now because I'm on the other side of it. And now that I'm on the other side of it, I know how to truly thrive through the unexpected. I know how to get through it. When you go through, stage 3 colon cancer and brutal chemo, when you go through, growing up in poverty, watching your father shoot a man in the head in self-defense, having your father break your nose, your parents divorcing, and you walk in and nothing's in the house except a mattress for you and your younger sister to sleep on. Having teachers, embrace you, and having a police officer. Of course, you read that. Take me to school when I was in the 7th grade every day to keep me safe. And then, you go through all that and you end up with people just helping you get through it, because that's what the book is all about, how God and great people always show up in my life. They just always show up. And so, they got me on the path to college. Then, I go through college, I do all that. And then I end up getting married to a guy who I put on hold literally for 4 years. And then, we have this vision of a family. And then we have 10 years of 4 second trimester miscarriages and a daughter who dies at 6 months old. And I found myself sitting there with her casket in my lap. And so you go through all that. And now I have these 4 wonderful adopted kids because the Lord had a plan different from mine. Yeah. I always know that it comes out okay on the other end, that he really does have a plan for my life. And so that's how I try to live every day. That it's not my plan. Yeah, I got some stuff to do and I got to take action and I got to own some things. But at the end of the day, there's a bigger plan working and I'm going to get through whatever it is. So that's why I'm like happy all the time.
That's amazing. So in writing the book, was there, I do know some people that have written some books, and for some people it was, a therapeutic process, going back through and maybe pulling through some remembering some things that you hadn't even thought of until you put yourself in those spaces and in those times. And then I know other people like that, like I would never do that again. Like that was a very difficult thing to revisit some of those things. What was that? What was that like for you?
Well, it was okay. So when they wanted me to do the Audible, they said, you have to do this. That we have a process where sometimes, we'll get somebody to do it. But this book is so personal and it's so good in their mind. Even before it came out, they thought it was a bestseller.
And let's be honest, nobody's going to do you justice. Let's be honest.
And that's what they said. They said, like, nobody can tell this story like you can tell it. And they said, so we need like 4 or 5 days for you to read this book. And so, Sam, you'll be able to appreciate this. I said, I don't have 4 or 5 days. Okay. Like, I just don't have that kind of time. Okay. I got a lot of stuff going on. So I said, I'm going to shave 2 weeks off my vacation. So this was in August. I said, I'm going to shave 2 days off my vacation, and I'll give you 2 days. That's all you got. We're getting ready to go into preseason and all that. And so they said, we need more. I said, no, I'll give you 2. So I gave them 2, and I should have given them 4, because to relive all of that in 2 days wiped me out. By that second day, I could barely walk out to the car at 6 p.m. because I just had to live it all over. And, the things in there I talk about, in different speeches and different forms, I talk about it, but I don't talk about it like all at the same time.
Yeah.
Right.
Within 48 hours. And so I relived all of that, especially like with the part when my daughter died. Just reliving all of that. I'm like, okay. So, and that was like the first day. So I'm like, I don't know if I can come back the second day, but I did. And so that part was way more emotional than I thought it was going to be. And then even just the story of the 4 kids and their individual adoptions, just kind of living through all that. And that actually brought me a fair amount of joy. Just seeing how, things worked out and how the Lord orchestrated things for all of us. To build our family. So that was actually kind of pleasant for me to walk through. But I will tell you, when my kids read the book, one of my sons, and that's Sam's other son. So little kid
Anthony. Are we talking about Anthony?
We're talking about Anthony.
He talks about Anthony all the time.
He loves Auntie Sam. He loves her. Okay, and loves Jalen. And so when he read the book, he actually did an Instagram post, and it just had, I think it was chapter 16, and he had the pages open, and he had a crying face, and he just said, "Wow." And I said, I wonder what's in chapter 16. So I had to go back and look at it. I had to go back and look at it. And it was actually his adoption story.
Oh.
And so then I called him. I said, are you okay? He goes, wow. And so my daughter, Shirley, did the same thing with her story. And I said, well, you guys know your stories. What's going on? And they said, no, Mom, we only know pieces of the story. We don't know what you and Dad were thinking and, you know, what you were going through. And frankly, like what all we had gone through. I mean, we know enough of it. You know, all my kids know they're adopted. They know what we know about them.
Right.
And so they said, no, but it's all the emotion and the things you were thinking and all of that. We didn't know that. So it was very emotional for them to read their stories. And they all ended up in this space where they felt even more special about our family than they already felt. I mean, my kids would tell you they said this years ago, they're chosen. Anthony will tell you out of all the bajillion kids in the world, we chose him. I mean, that's what he used to tell his principals and teachers at school. So he took pride in the fact that he was adopted. But he felt even more special after he read his own chapter.
I can tell you just said something early on how you told the what do you call the book people?
The publishers and
the publishers that you're going to take what they said you needed
5 days.
5 days and put it into 2.
Yes.
But this is who you are because you even told, like with your cancer journey, you told the doctor, I'm not leaving here until we have this procedure and we're going to have it on Monday. He didn't have his schedule. He didn't have time for you, but you're like, we're going to sit here and figure it out. Yes. I'm not leaving here, but that's who you are. You're driven when your mind is made up.
I am.
When your mind is made up, there's no, and I don't want to say poor Kenny, but
poor Kenny.
Because that's who you are. That's why you've accomplished what you have. Yeah. You've been the first at so many things. Do you wear it as a badge of honor? I'm sure. Mm-hmm. Cal Berkeley, first.
Go Bears.
Go Bears. Yes, go Bears. This little girl from Richmond, California, which I never knew about Richmond, California. It's Northern California.
Yes.
I would say Sacramento before I say Richmond, right? Is that
yes?
Okay. And you've come out. You've had so many challenges. Your mother, very spiritual. Yes. I gathered, very spiritual. Yes. You gathered your strength, your poise, your energy from your mom.
Yes.
Tell us about your mom.
My mom is amazing. And so my mother's name is Carolyn. And so my daughter, who was born prematurely, who passed away, we named her Carolyn with a K. So she's Special K, and K for Kenny, but Carolyn after my mom. So we had all these Special K cereal boxes, right? So Special K was named after my mother. My mother's still alive, thank goodness. She's amazing. And this is a woman who left Birmingham, Alabama. So, I mean, your civil rights history. So, the 16th Street Baptist Church, Bethel Baptist Church, all these bombings and all that. This was my mother's neighborhood. I mean, these are the churches she went to. And so she decided she's moving to California, just the courage to move with her 4 kids. I was the baby at the time, and my dad to California. They only knew one person, one of my aunts, and just said, we want something different for our children. And so she had the courage to move, and she was in an abusive marriage the entire time she was married. And she focused on her kids. She worked 2 and 3 jobs to make sure, we had what we needed. She was never ashamed that we lived in a public housing project. In fact, she would always tell us, it's not where you live, it's how you live.
Wow.
And so she instilled some values in us. Education was key. Sam, this, I always joke about the fact that my mother put 2 books in my hand at an early age, a math book in one hand and a Bible in the other. And basically said, you keep your head in these 2 books and you'll get out. And of course, when you're young, you don't know what out is, but out of poverty, out of poverty into something better. And so even when she was going through all of her abuse, when my father left us that summer, my mother was just praying. I mean, we had to live with my sister that whole summer because the police did, they took us away from our home. They didn't want us to go back until they knew it was safe for us. And my mother's prayer that whole summer wasn't even about her. It was about her kids that she wanted. And there were still 3 of us at home. I was the oldest at the time, junior in high school. Her prayer was that we'd make it back home before school started because school was everything. And she wanted us to have that stability. And she didn't realize that we were going to walk back into a 4-bedroom, unit in the projects that only had a mattress in it. But when we got back, and I remember we were all screaming because, I ran track, sent the sprint, right? And so our trophies were gone and all this stuff was gone. And school was getting ready to start in a week. And I remember my mother just telling everybody to be quiet. She just wanted peace. And she told us, she said, all I want is peace of mind. God will provide. So she wasn't freaking out. She wasn't hung up on the material things. She wanted peace of mind, and she wanted us back in school. And so she sent me back to school with that big brace on my nose from when my father had broken my nose that summer when, I broke up a fight when he, kind of rolled up on us. And so she wanted me back in school and just said, go. And people gave us clothes, and eventually, gradually, he, sent the stuff back to the house. But her whole focus was, we move forward. We move forward. We're not going to forget what happened. It's not like we're naive. We know we're in this crisis, but we keep moving forward. We talk to people, we include other people. And I think that's where I learned about the value of the village, that there's some stuff you have to talk about and like you need help. So anytime you're down, you don't get up by yourself. Like you need a hand to pull you up. And so she taught me that. And we kept pressing forward. And that's when, these teachers saw me and they embraced my mom, found out what was happening and got me on this big path to college and all that. But it was all my mom. It was just what she instilled in us and her positive attitude. She always felt like there was something better. And so I know the reason I rely on the scripture, Jeremiah 29:11, is because I know I saw my mom truly believe that there was a plan to prosper and not harm us, to give us hope in the future. I literally saw her live that. And so when she was the first person I called when I got cancer, when I was trying to have my pity party, like I was really trying to have a pity party. And she just, I had people coming over, like this party was going to be big. Like we were going to be crying. And
all the pity was going to happen.
Oh, we were going to be laying out. Okay. Like I had it all mapped out. They were coming over. Okay. They were all solid. My best friend had black on. Like we were getting ready to do this, right? My mother didn't want to hear it. She said, oh no, this is for his glory. She heard what I told her. She said, this is for his glory. You have a high profile job. You'll be able to tell this story one day. People will watch you come through this with strength. She just had this voice of power that was just letting me know it's going to be okay. She goes, you've been chosen for this. You can handle it. And I'm just looking at the phone like, I am trying to break down and have a pity party. Like, you're not working with me. And so when she hung up, I understand she called, my sisters and my brothers. And so, she broke down then. But to me, she gave me that voice of power like she's done my whole life and basically said, we got this. And here it is 12 years later. We got this.
That's amazing. Wow. Her pity party invitations always get lost in the mail. It sounds
always.
Like.
Return to sender. That's what I'm not accepting that.
So you're right. It's my mom, man. I truly know that's where it comes from. I watched her.
She sounds like a phenomenal woman.
She is. Amazing.
It takes someone with that foundation to create someone who thrives and is at the highest level of their career. And we're going to touch into that because you retired from AT&T. You were going to set off on a path. Were you, if I'm not mistaken, weren't you going to take on or be a professor or do an adjunct or do something? Yes. And then something else happened.
Yeah, these colleges were calling me. So when I retired, I said, okay, I ended up starting a little consulting company because a chairman of a company wanted me to help him with some work he was doing. But people were pursuing me to be a college president. And I was actually trying to decide, okay, because some HBCUs were calling, some other schools were calling. So I was kind of deciding what kind of school I was going to take on because I got this big passion for kids, a big passion for education, all of that. And lo and behold, I get this call one day. Actually, I got a text message and I was on the phone with one of my clients. And so, your phone is just blowing up. So I'm on my house phone, right? But my cell phone is kind of blowing up. And honestly, I thought it was one of my kids asking for money because two of them were in college at the time, right? And so I had this thing with my kids because I'm busy. And so I said, okay, don't try to you don't have to talk to me. If you text me, you need something just shoot it in there, unless it's like a true emergency. Then you need to call me. And so I thought it was one of the kids. So I handed Kenny the phone and I said, one of the kids need money, handle it. Then he came back a couple of minutes later And he said, this dude doesn't need any money. I said, what? He said, Mark Cuban is trying to reach you. Okay, don't y'all judge me, but I didn't know. I said, who is that? I didn't know Mark Cuban. Okay. And people laugh about that. I'm like, well, he didn't know me either. Okay. I know him, he didn't know me. So what's Mark Cuban trying to phone a friend to help him with this crisis, right? And so I didn't want to call him back because I was busy. And then he had my son. He called Anthony in LA and he said, I need to talk to your mother. And so then Anthony got on the phone. He said, Mom, you got to call him back. Like, don't you know who this is? And don't you know what's going on? So anyway, they convinced me to call him back. He wanted to meet with me at 2:00. I told him I couldn't meet with him. And you'll appreciate this. I said, because I have a mammogram scheduled. He wanted me to meet at 2:00. I had a mammogram scheduled. And I said, I have learned the hard way what happens when you put off your medical business. And so I can't. I have to go to the mammogram. And so he says, okay, well, I mean, just where you want me to meet? I mean, what do you want? Whatever you want to do. So when I came back from the mammogram, I got ready to go. I walked in the house. My husband, who is not a big fashion guy. I mean, Sam, you know him. He's not a big fashion guy, okay? He is decked out from head to toe in Mavs colors, these black, blue, and gray socks. I mean, the tie. I'm like, where are you going? He goes, oh, I looked up the colors of the Mavs while you were gone. And so these are the colors because, okay, the word is out. I can say this because it's out. I actually had on Golden State Warriors sweats and Steph Curry socks and a Cal baseball cap when Mark Cuban called. Okay. because I was loyal to my home, my literally home team from
and that's okay.
And I just said I was never going to change. Okay. So little did I know the Lord had a plan, right? But that's because I wasn't traveling that week. And that's actually what I had on. So when I walked in, my husband like, and you're going to have to take all that off. Like you got to change clothes. You got to put on the right shade of blue. And I just thought it was hilarious because this is really not who he is. But he wanted to make sure that I showed up right when I went, when I stepped into the Mavs headquarters. So we ended up both kind of reading what was going on. And, I showed up and kind of decided I really don't know if I want to do this because we had a lot of things happening in there. And then I talked to him. It was a great conversation, just a genuine conversation. And then 2 women stopped me after I spent my 55 minutes in his office. 2 women stopped me and said, are you the person who Mark Cuban said is going to save us? And I said, well, I don't have the power to save. And they said, well, no, you need to come here. And they started telling me their stories. And then one of them said, we think you can really have an impact. And the word caught me because that very morning, so this is February 21st, 2018, that very morning, I had written a blog and posted it called Impact. And it was about what impact will I have going forward? Because these teenagers were protesting in Parkland, Florida about gun violence. And then the Reverend Dr. Billy Graham had passed away. And I found myself smack dab in the middle, age-wise, in the middle of these people who were impacting my life right then, these teenagers and this person who had actually impacted my life growing up. And it just brought the word impact to me when I was watching the news that morning. And so I wrote a blog about it, and it was about what's next. What truly am I going to do next to have impact that's really going to mean something to somebody, mean something to people? And lo and behold, I get the call from Mark the same day, and then these 2 women are in front of me talking about the opportunity to have an impact. And very young women too. I mean, they could have been my daughters or my granddaughters. And I just looked at them and said, wow, let me go home and pray. And I'd already told Mark I was going to go home and pray about it. And I came back the next day, and before I could even go to his office, people pulled me into the conference room, and I was in the building for 3 hours before he even knew I was there. And when he finally got to the conference room, he said, I guess the answer is yes. And I think the answer is yes. And so we've been on this journey for 5 years, just trying to, create a great place to work.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Wow.
It's crazy.
I could actually picture the scene secret with the golden, with the matching blues and
yeah. I was diehard.
Well, that's hard too. So a quick moment in my life, I'm a huge Michigan fan. So I grew up Michigan fan, Detroit Pistons and Detroit Red, like everything Detroit. And so there was a time, obviously I became a Villanova fan, when Jalen was playing, and they played in the national championship against Michigan. And for the only time in my life, I rooted standing next to this woman against the Michigan Wolverine. That's a hard thing to do.
It's hard. But once you cross over, because my kids, I mean, so at this point, this is like a family affair.
Yeah.
Okay. When the news is breaking, I'm talking to everybody and they're like, okay, what do we do? And so my son, Anthony, decided that he was going to have this big kind of unveiling of all the Mavs gear and like this change in our lives. Okay. And so he did this whole thing where he is packing up all his Golden State Warriors stuff. And then he's unboxing the Mavs stuff. He said he had to send a message to the world that
push it out on a pyre and light it on fire. No, I'm just
like we got a new team now. We got a new team. So you can imagine what we went through last year when we played them in the Western Conference.
Yeah, that was tough.
Yes, it was cool though, because whenever I go back to that arena, they're always like, "Welcome home," and they're just so wonderful.
The way it should be. You shouldn't. Your childhood team or your favorite team, that doesn't mean you lose it when you move across the country. Right. Or my son in point with Eagles. He's an Eagles fan.
He just needs to play for Detroit, and then we're all good. And we're all good.
But that's what I love, though. Like we only compete on the court that night. We compete on the court that night. Right. Aside from that, it's all family, and it's all good.
So I was talking to Steve earlier about the subtitle of your book.
Yes.
Thriving Through the Unexpected.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And once again, you take a positive take on that, because you could have said through the chaos, through the whatever, the hardships, but you said unexpected. And that is just, it encompasses so much.
Yes.
And the ebbs and flows of, your journey through life.
Mm-hmm.
And that in itself, I feel is more powerful than you being chosen.
I agree with you. I mean, I agree with you. We actually, we went back and forth on the title, and they chose You've Been Chosen because, of course, when I got cancer, they said I said that several times in my journal that I had been chosen for this, but they almost called it Thriving. I mean, they had a few different names for it before they finally, kind of landed the plane, because it really was about just this attitude of being positive and not just surviving things, but really thriving through it all. And so then they decided, okay, well, that has to be the subtitle, because we just cannot lose that. It's kind of like too long to be the title, but they didn't want to lose it. And because when I just think about my journey, my motherhood journey, which I'm actually going to write a book about that.
Really?
When I just think about, because I want to write a book about motherhood. I want to talk about my mother. I want to have some of my friends kind of give different quotes and all that their mothers have said. And so we unpack some of that.
Another excuse to have her on the show. This sounds great.
And then I want to talk about my own journey in motherhood, because it was a journey different than what I expected. I thought my dream was like to have 5 boys, right? And so after all the, every time I'd have a miscarriage, I'm like, what is going on here? What is going on? And then I realized now that that's not how my family was going to be made, that families are made in different ways. And I actually remember, I got to tell you all this, because I can admit when I say something stupid or when I do something stupid. And so I remember when it was miscarriage number 3, I think it was. No, number 4. And a colleague of mine, I came back to work and I had almost died, right? I come back to work and he just pulled me to the side. He just said, we're close, so we just need to have a conversation. I said, what? He goes, why do you keep putting yourself through this? And then you almost die and you're putting Kenny through that. Like, this is getting ridiculous. Why don't you guys just adopt? I looked at him like he had lost his mind. And his name was Tom. I said, Tom, you and Nancy have 2 kids. And so I went on and on. I said, you and Carol. I said, I have 2 kids, blah, 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 blah. You had these kids. So now you want to tell me to go and get some kids that somebody else had. And this is where it got real stupid. I said, there's no way you can love kids that somebody else had. I mean, there's no way you can really love them. You can never truly love them. Now, how ridiculous is that? But that's what I said, because that's what I felt. And I said, no. We're going to wait a little while, see if they can figure out what's going on. We're going to try it again. So, of course, we did try it again, made it a little further into pregnancy, but still, had my daughter prematurely and lost her at 6 months old. When we finally adopted Anthony, and we sent out this big Christmas card. It was around the holidays. And we had the judge on the Christmas card with us, and we're choosing. We are so doggone happy. And we said, Anthony adopted us. And I mean, we just had this whole, I couldn't have been happier. So of course, now this is years later, my buddy Tom calls. He said, I just got the Christmas card. He said, I just got the Christmas card. He said, y'all look kind of happy on this card. He said, do you love that little fella? He said, oh, I remember. I said, be quiet. I said, why did you even let me say something that's stupid? He said, well, I knew how ridiculous it was because he was trying to tell me they had friends who adopted all that. I just didn't want to hear it. He said, I knew how crazy it was when you said it, but I also knew you were grieving. And I just said, they'll figure it out one day. And so he was right. I just love these four. And the Lord just put them, they just all showed up in different ways. In fact, as you know from the book, both of my daughters were picked off television by Anthony.
Yes.
One's a Wednesday child out of San Francisco, one's a Friday child out of North Carolina. And it's, I said, most people are shopping for merchandise on TV. I have fellas, Anthony and his daddy shopping for kids on television. And so they just kind of like all showed up in their own different ways. And so my path to motherhood was a very different path than I thought I was going to take. So I want to write about that too, because these families when you are meant to be a mother, you will be a mother.
I feel like you're a mother or aunt or sister to so many.
Yes.
Beautiful. I
want her to adopt me. Actually, I think
you taking adult children.
Taking 41-year-olds.
Yeah, not 41. Maybe a 16-year-old might be coming. Honestly, really, okay. but not a 41-year-old.
All right.
Was like, okay, we got 2 more years of school, so we're actually talking through that right now.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll keep you posted on that.
All right.
Yes, please do. So, Cynt, first of all, I got to give you another congrats. Okay. Something I just recently learned that you are one of the 5 finalists. See, I do my homework.
Sister, you are busy.
Not that busy. Not like you busy, but busy, yes. But you are one of the 5 finalists for the 54th annual NAACP Image Awards. Kudos to you.
That's amazing. Yeah.
That is amazing. That is amazing. So how did you find out? How did that go about? I'm going to live through you for a second. Yeah. How did you find out?
Okay, well, here's how I found out. So I'm sitting in my laundry room late one night trying to get my hair done, okay, because I was looking crazy. So I needed the hairdresser to come over here and, fix a sister up. And my phone is going crazy. And all these people are saying, congratulations, and my sister is sending out this stuff, and I'm like, what are they talking about? And it actually took me a while because I was trying to clear emails and all that. So finally, when I got my hair done and she left and all that, I'm getting ready to go to bed. I said, I need to go back and see what all these messages are about. And lo and behold, the publisher had sent an email, and she had copied my sister and some other people, and they started telling the world, I hadn't seen the email yet, that basically said, congratulations, your book has been nominated, and they gave the literary category and all that, and said I was nominated with First Lady Michelle Obama's book, Senator Warnock, Michael Williams, Jennifer Lewis, and I'm like, whoa, is this a joke?
Just a few little names there.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it. Honestly, I said this. I got to read this email again. How in the world did my book get nominated with these people? Like, what is going on here? But it was real. I mean, it was real. Yeah, it's great.
Well, congratulations! I'm rooting for you.
Yeah,
I am rooting for you. We're rooting for you.
It was that audible read. It was the read that did it, right? That 2-day read.
Maybe so. I don't know. But I'm just glad. You know what? When I wrote the book, I said I just wanted to touch one person. If I can touch one person that's been touched by cancer and help them on their journey, that's all I want to accomplish. And the publishers, they had this vision that they wanted to tell a broader story and touch people with cancer, but people trying to have a family, people growing up in domestic violence, people. I mean, they had so many different audiences that they thought would benefit from the story. So it's a broader story than I wanted to tell, but it accomplished what I set out to do. It's touching people. That's all I wanted.
Well, and not only that, but I mean, even in even in your own family, you did exactly that, right? With them being able to hear their, chapter 16 and what was the other chapter?
Yes, it's crazy.
That in itself was worth it, in my opinion.
Yes, I agree with that. They're loving it. The kids are loving it. They want me to go on this big book signing tour.
I know. I'm waiting for the dates. Anthony's supposed to send me the dates.
I know, but I'm just busy. And so I'm trying. I'm
doing what? What could you be doing?
It's like, you know what? The season is in, we got a little team that we need to run. And I mean, just stuff. Okay.
I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it. And you keep going, you're going, and you have the duties of a CEO. I don't know. Okay. I can't say that I know everything, but I don't know of too many CEOs. I've been to quite a few NBA games. Yeah. I don't know of many CEOs going on the court, posing for pictures with the local charity people and granting checks and stuff. I don't see those people. I see players, former players.
Are you telling her to coast a little bit?
Well, I'm just saying you're busy. I mean, you are, and mind you, I don't know if it's because that's what they want you to do, but you want to show that you are behind this. You're behind the support.
Yeah, I care about these people.
Yeah,
I had a guy tell me this morning that he was out somewhere the other day and he met this guy and some big executive, and he said he was coming. He was associated with the Mavs, and he says, "Oh my goodness, I just took my dad to a Mavs game." He said, and the best experience was when the CEO gave my dad a big hug. He says, he's still asking about her. He says, his dad says, I've never been hugged by a CEO of a team. He said, I love this woman. Like, where does she come from? I was just doing my job. First of all, you're happy these people are in the arena, okay? But then you just love these people. I mean, I love them. I truly love them. And then I love what we're trying to get done. So I'm into it. I couldn't just, I'm not even in my seat. Usually if I get back in my seat by the fourth quarter,
you're not in your seat. And I got to let Steve know this. Okay, so this arena is beautiful. It reminds me of a hotel, like the vestibule area. It's white, it's bright.
I was at a game last year.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was there. He and his son came to a game.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
So I happened to go out because either I was probably a little nervous because I tend to walk around sometimes when, on the court or whatever. And there's some music going and I love music.
Yes, you do.
And I turn and I see these people. And then who do I see leading this little dance off or whatever it was? I don't know if they were doing electric slide or what.
Cupid Shuffle.
That was
Cupid Shuffle.
That was you right in the vestibule with all these fans. And she's leading the dance. And see, she knew. You probably was. And I was just like, that's what I'm talking about. Like that right there, where you're not afraid to roll your sleeves up. You're not afraid to put your dancing shoes on, whatever hat that you have to wear to connect with people. It's very genuine.
It's so fun. My security guy,
I
drive him crazy because
you probably put him to work.
We were walking somewhere and I heard the music. So I ran back. He didn't know I was gone. So apparently he was still walking. And then he realized like at some point I wasn't there. He said he turned around and all of a sudden I'm doing the Cupid Shuffle. All these people are coming around.
To the left, to the left.
Do I dare divulge how I really got to know you in Mexico?
Yes. Oh, that was so fun.
In Mexico City.
So fun.
Are we allowed to tell these stories?
I'm not. I'll let her tell the story. But, she's running the show. So, but I remember we went shopping. You were so gracious to go. She and my mother-in-law made some names up for each other.
Yes.
Okay.
Because you can't, sometimes you don't know like what's going to happen and how much fun you're going to have, or if you're going to have to check somebody. So I like to develop our alias names before we leave the hotel. Okay. So I don't need anybody yelling Cynt. Okay, I'm Nell. Okay, so
Nell.
You're Nell. Okay.
Nell.
And my mother-in-law Nancy was Monica.
Monica. Okay. So I said, we got to develop the name so if something goes down, we can just yell the different names. Nobody really knows.
That's amazing.
and trust me, we needed them a couple of times too.
We did. But we were walking through some shops. And there was one shop that had another entrance or exit. And most of the shops you walk in, you walk out the same way you walked in.
Sure. Yeah.
This one had a walkthrough and we walked through. And about 5 minutes later, you start tapping on your phone. You're like, oh, I lost my security. I was like, walking around like, wait a minute, not on my dime.
Right.
That's fine. She's like, no, we're fine. Remember, you're like, we're fine. They're okay. They're like, you're making this hard for us. Where are you? You're like, I'm having fun.
Right. I'm enjoying myself. I am enjoying myself. You know what I tell them? I had a uniformed police officer take me to school when I was in 7th grade. Okay. I got this.
Right.
I got this. I grew up in 94804. Everybody just relax. I can take care of myself.
You're here to protect Cynt. Nell's out having fun right now.
There you go.
Yes. Let Nell get loose.
I think the most fun we had, we found a place for churros. We had churros. Remember those churros were amazing.
Oh, they were amazing.
So
we got to go back. We got to go back.
I would love to go back. So,
I miss you so much, sister.
I do miss you. I swear. And we had so much fun there in Dallas. We did. It didn't end up the way that most wanted. Jalen is back on the East Coast. I did get to see you though.
I knew he ended up on the East Coast. I said, give me a break. His mother and his grandmother are on the East Coast. Where is he supposed to be? Okay. I mean, honestly, it's beautiful to me because I still have my family. I still have my Brunson family. And so we're just, doing what we need to do.
It's
so
business.
I'm so happy. Honestly, I'm so happy for him. Yes, we miss him terribly, but I'm so happy for him. That's my nephew. My nephew.
Oh, and he is so incredibly thankful for the journey that he had and started with Dallas. It couldn't have started with a better organization, especially you at the helm. You, whatever it is that you brought there, you brought magic because we had a great experience. I look forward to coming back there. Obviously, when we came back, he didn't play, so it was easy for me. I was just sitting there like, okay.
He found me though. He found me.
He found you. Yes.
He found me. He gave me a big hug. He said, "I wish I, would have been able to play today." But I will tell you, one of my most precious memories, and I took a screenshot of it, and I'll keep it for the rest of my life, is the text message that he sent me when he left. Wow. It warmed my heart. I'm telling you, sister, you have done your job as a mother. You've done your job.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad to hear that because I did leave him when he made his decision and he had a battery of calls to make to his teammates. He made it a point to reach out to everyone. So I left and went back to the hotel, went to sleep. I was exhausted. I don't know how you all in this world, in this space, do it. I don't know how you all go from game to game and you travel. I mean, it's a lot. You can count me in for one day, one night, and then I'm like, I'm done. I am. It's so
fun
tired.
though. It's fun though. We're starting a 6-game home stretch tonight.
Oh, good.
And I'm like, yes. Tonight. And Kitty is like, how many? I'm like, 6. He's like, okay. And he sits up. Steve, you don't know this, but my husband sits. His seats are much higher than mine.
Okay.
And that's only because. Okay, so my first game with the Mavs, I sat with my boss. So I sat with Mark until they got my seats all together. And so my seats are kind of right behind the players. And so my husband sat with me the second game, in our seats. And he kept falling asleep.
Oh, no.
Now, I'm the new CEO to the Mavs.
Yeah.
The camera's on us the whole time.
Of course.
So I'm like, dude, I said, you got to wake up. I said, what are you doing? He goes, oh, what's the score? What's the score? I'm like, what? So I got
look up. It's on that big board.
I got his own season tickets. I'm like, you go way up there. Okay. And you can sleep up there. So I have like my buddies and some employees and my little posse that sit with me. I'm like, oh, no, you cannot sit with me.
And y'all are dancing.
We are having a good time. Nobody's asleep. Okay. Nobody. And so now he's into it because, he had to get into it. So he's really into it now. So he said, am I going to be able to ever sit with you again? I said, we got to see.
There'll be an application process.
I need energy. Yes.
I love it.
Give him an audition. Give him a tryout. Let's see if he's, turn on the Cupid shuffle and see how he does.
Right. Maybe I'll watch him tonight. I'll glance up every now and then and see what's happening up there.
That's awesome. Well, you've had like she mentioned over 30 years with AT&T as, a high level executive. By the way, real quick question. We're in a building called Bell Works, which is the old AT&T building in Hoffman Estates, Illinois. Have you ever been in this building?
I've been in Hoffman Estates. Yes, I have some people in that building. Yes.
Okay.
Are you kidding me? So when Southwestern Bell bought Ameritech, and I want to say it was 1999 or something around there. Okay. And we were the first. Pacific Bell was the first one that Southwestern Bell bought. And then we bought Ameritech. And I was on that merger team to go out to Hoffman Estates and all that and help integrate everybody into our business. And then, of course, we bought a bajillion companies after that. And then we bought AT&T and then kept the name. So I had team members out in Hoffman Estates. I have been there. I know exactly where that is.
We're here right now. So yeah, I had to ask that question for sure.
Yeah.
That is crazy. That's some kind of like connection there. That's some kind of
that is crazy.
Those are my worlds. Those are my worlds coming together.
Through that whole time, and obviously with the Mavericks, they're a little bit older now, but as a mom, having to give, I'm guessing, a lot of time and energy to your work. Mm-hmm. What was that like, balancing that with being a mom of four?
Okay, so first of all, I don't believe in balance.
Okay.
It's integration.
Okay. I'm taking notes. Integration.
If you try to balance something, that would suggest that maybe it's off and then you're trying to get it in balance. Okay. My family's never going to be down there. Okay. So I'm never going to be off that way. And so what I try to do is just integration. Okay. So they get involved in work stuff. Work comes home. And I have this thing that I use, and probably a crystal ball. Hold on a second. Okay. It's right behind me. I keep it. I keep one at work and I keep it at home. So crystal ball, rubber ball. So here's how I set my priorities. Crystal balls is something that's crystal. If I drop this on the floor right now, it will shatter and never come back. I lost it. Rubber, I drop it, it's going to bounce. It's going to bounce away to somebody else. That's going to either throw it back to me. It can bounce away for good because I didn't need to do it in the first place, or it might bounce back to me without somebody touching it. The point is, it doesn't have to be handled right now. This can be dropped because it's not coming back. And so what I try to do in my personal and professional life is say what's crystal and what's rubber. Most things are rubber.
Wow.
The things with my kids, even some of their stuff is rubber and some of it's crystal. I had an example one time of something crystal. When I was the president of AT&T in North Carolina, the company called and they said, we need you in Washington, D.C. for a whole week. We're trying to lobby some policymakers on some big issues. You know a lot of them. We need you to help us the whole week. And so here I got my big job in North Carolina. I said, okay, well, I got a good team here. I can be there for a week. The only time I can't meet with anybody is on Wednesday afternoon because that's my son's first high school swim meet. So it's Anthony's first high school swim meet. He's in a new school, new state, all of that. That's crystal. Okay. We ain't dropping that because that's not coming back. It's not like it's practice or his second or third meet. It's his first one.
Yep.
We get the schedule and guess who is on for Wednesday afternoon? All the committee heads and the most important policymakers. Wednesday afternoon. I say, I'm sorry. I got to go back home. I already told you guys about my son's first high school swim meet. So they thought it was a joke. They started laughing. When my boy looked up for his daddy and his sister at that swim meet, he got the biggest smile on his face because he saw his mama too. And I am convinced that the reason he won that individual medley race is because his mom was in the stands.
Yes.
Because that was a crystal ball. And so the next morning, 6 a.m., I'm back on the flight to DC, and guess who I happened to meet with? The committee heads, okay? I wasn't going to drop that crystal ball. Well, by the same token, years before that, they asked me to speak at a big conference. I said, I'm off that day. It's Halloween. My baby's in the fourth grade. Well, Anthony's in the fourth grade. Shirley's in first grade. And you know how you do all this stuff with the kids? I had this whole theme laid out. 70s. I had Kenny in a big red afro wig. We had the whole costume, okay? Because all the families, everybody was dressing up, the whole school. And so I told them, I said, no, I can't miss this. And they said, no, we need you to present because I got the music and I'm lively. We'll have you off stage by 10:30 so you can make the party. I said, okay, because it's like I had to drive like 30 minutes. Well, my boss went on and on and on. By the time I finished, it was late. And so I literally made it to his school in time just to walk into the party. And I stopped and I thought, okay, am I going to walk in without a costume on? Because like we planned this whole theme party, everybody in there is all dressed up. Or am I going to go back home? Because to me, there was like no in the middle.
Right.
And I said, well, I don't want to miss it. So I guess, I'm like in tears. I said, okay, I'm just going to have to walk in the classroom. So I walk into this classroom. Everybody's dressed up except me. My boy ran to me. All of his little friends followed him. And he grabbed my work badge and he said, look, everybody, my mom's a worker. All of these, I'm not making this up. All of these kids are around my badge. They want to know, how do you get the badge? What does it mean? What does it have access to? What do I do? Kitty with his big red afro wig is looking at me like, you got to be kidding. All the other parents are looking at me because they're all dressed up. I mean, we got Snow White and everybody in there. Like, you got to be kidding. Like, I'm getting all the attention and I'm not even dressed up. And in fact, the story is about, I think the story is in the book because the title is Show Up. What I learned as a mother is sometimes you just have to show up. Now, you may not show up the way you want to show up. Like I wanted to show up dressed up like I was supposed to show up. But you know what? I couldn't be there. I had to do this work thing. And it worked out just fine. I just had to show up.
Do you remember what your costume was supposed to be?
Yes. I had these bell bottoms. Okay, these psychedelic kind of bell bottoms with these big black platform boots and this brown shingle vest with the beads, the big medallion. Oh, I could tell you the whole outfit. Mm-hmm.
And Kenny with the afro is like second fiddle because you walk in as a worker.
As a worker.
I mean, I literally have on a business suit and a work badge. But you know what? I just needed to show up. That's all that was important to the kid. And so I try to remember that. I mean, one time Shirley drew a picture. She was, I think, in the kindergarten. And this is before we adopted Alicia. And she's got like 3 people on this picture. You know, you put it all in the refrigerator, right? And I said, who is this a picture of? And she says, Dad, me, and Anthony. I guess Ricky was gone. I said, where's Mom? I said, where am I on the picture? And she goes, you on a work trip. You were in Washington, D.C.
No.
Okay, but see, some people will feel really bad about that.
Yeah.
I didn't. I said, what? I said, oh, so you just left me out the picture? And so the picture's on the refrigerator, right? I said, open up the refrigerator. She opened it up. I said, what do you like in there? And I knew where she was going because she loves cheese. So she pulled out the little cheese sticks. I said, you like those? She says, mm-hmm. I said, how you think they get in there? It's like, you don't leave me out of the pictures. Okay? I said, how do you think they got in there? And she says, well, I said, let me tell you how this works, okay? Because your dad is a stay-at-home dad now. So I gave her so I'm going through like the whole thing. I said, your dad is, at that time he was working. I said, but your dad gets home early so he can see about you guys. I'm going out to work so she says, oh. I said, so if you want to have those cheese sticks, I'm thinking you ought to put me in that picture. Or else we won't have any cheese in the refrigerator. The next time Shirley came back, she had me in. I was like the biggest one. She had me like these big shoes. She had me looking so pretty. It was just a crazy picture. I'm like, oh, don't get this twisted, sister. You can't get it out. So I didn't feel bad. I said, you know what? I try to just integrate it all. I just blend it all in. I do what I got to do. I can't feel guilty about stuff. My husband ended up becoming a stay-at-home dad when they were little, like 2nd and 5th grade and all that, because we both showed up late from work and all that. And so we just had some decisions to make as a family, and we were blessed to be able to do that. But it's like, you just kind of figure it all out because, I'm mommy first. Like I am mommy first. My kids would show up to my office. They show up making noise. In fact, Anthony, they would like to show. One time they showed up and they were kicking like the walls. And I was on a call and they were making so much noise. And I always bring them in for like Christmas. And I said, what are you guys doing? If you don't stop, you're not going to go shopping. You're making too much noise. And he said, I'm trying to show Shirley where the control panels are. And so they're literally like kicking the walls and doing everything. They're trying to make a door pop open. I said, control panels? What is that? And they said, he said, Dad says you have control panels in your office. So we can't be on the computers, the phones, or anything, and you could see everything you do from the control panels in San Francisco. I said, oh, is that what Dad told you? I said, yeah, well, you're not going to find them. Now, they didn't know they didn't exist. I said, yes. So listen to Dad. You just figure it all out. But I like for them to show up to work. I don't want it to be a mystery to them. Right. I want them to see what I'm doing, like where I'm going. And now they think I really have the cool job now.
Oh yeah.
I got the cool job now.
I would think so. Yeah.
I don't have to like say, okay, well, here we're going to go shopping. So come to mommy's job. Or they want to show up now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I bet.
Both of my sons were at All-Star Weekend. I played a little trick on them earlier this year. I said, my schedule's really busy and I got a lot going on, and I'm not going to All-Star Weekend this year. And so I'm expecting them to come back and say, okay, well, can we figure it out? Both of them came back and said, we know this is a joke. Try something else. And it actually was a joke. They're like, no, we're getting something out of this.
Yeah, you're not fooling them. I feel like with your job, it's your passion. I don't know. Does it feel like a job?
No, it
okay.
actually
it doesn't look like. I mean, you work hard. You obviously do some beautiful things, and you're very knowledgeable. But it looks like you're having fun.
I'm having a ball. I am having a ball. And you know what I often do? I say, okay, Lord, I have my little prayer every morning. And I remember when the chairman of AT&T asked me to come to Dallas, and I almost said no, because at 31 years I was going to retire. Well, I was going to retire at 30, then I got cancer. Then at 31, I said, okay, I think I'm done. And so when he called me about moving to Dallas, I told him, I said, you know what? I don't want to miss the calling that the Lord has on my life by not retiring, because I know there's something else I'm supposed to go and do. And he said, okay, describe that calling to me. So I described the calling. It was about people. It was about touching lives, all this stuff, right? And he says, you don't think that calling can operate right here within the walls of AT&T in Dallas? He said, that's exactly why I want you to come to Dallas. And so I think about that all the time, is I don't want to miss like the real big plan for my life. And then things will happen on a day-to-day basis. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm kind of living in that calling right now. And that's how I feel about this job, because I get to interact with a lot of great people, meet a lot of fabulous people. I mean, like you all have these kind of conversations, touch the community, touch lives of players and families and all that. And they get to touch my life, and, we get to do great things together. And I said, okay, well, I guess I'm still living out the calling. So I'm happy. As long as I'm living out what I think the calling is, I'm happy. And it doesn't seem like work. It's just what I'm supposed to be doing.
Oh,
that's awesome.
So I'm doing it.
That is awesome. I mean, this has been, I feel like I could do this all afternoon. This has been
part 2 is coming.
Amazing. It's been truly an honor to have you on the show. And we have a thing where we're like, all right, we kind of look at each other because we hear like some notable things that we're like, oh, we need to make a clip of that. I don't know. I think we could clip the whole thing as one giant clip.
Well, good luck.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely.
I don't think I can say balance
versus integration,
be able
like that.
To say, how do you balance
crystal
work,
ball,
life, and crystal ball, rubber ball.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. I'll send you both a crystal ball and a pack of rubber balls.
Oh my gosh,
we do them in the office. I just throw them sometime. They'll give me something. I'm like, oh, no, I can tell you right now, that's rubber. And that one needs to roll right on out the door. Okay, if somebody wants to grab it, that's fine. But that is rubber.
Okay, so I shared something with Steve because only because it's in your book also. But I came when you invited me to your house. We had that awesome evening, girls' evening, and it was around Easter time. Mm-hmm. There's something about you that maybe a lot of people don't know, but you did disclose it in the book, I think. So they'd have to read the book.
Yes.
You love to decorate your home. I mean, for all the holidays.
All the holidays.
Every single one of them. Even the ones where I think, you don't need that. You do them all. I want to know what the closet looks like. It should be a garage. That's how I envision it.
It is a garage.
Okay, so it's a garage full of stuff.
I have 2 garages, right? And in fact, when we picked this house, because when I got this job, I said, I'm not going to be sitting in traffic. We need to move. And so one of the criteria I had is I had to have 2-car garages, because I needed one garage for all of my bins for the different holidays and seasons. And Kenny went for that because he used to have to compete with the cars and all of his stuff and then all of my bins. So he said, I like that idea. So I didn't get a chance to take you back there when you were here. So one of my garages is all my bins. I got all Christmas there. I got Thanksgiving. I got Easter. I got the 4th of July. I got the autumn stuff. I mean,
I was picturing like St. Patrick's Day.
I have St. Patrick's Day.
Easter, tax day.
I don't have tax day. Just a big check, I guess. But
we don't need tax day in Texas.
Right.
Oh, that's true.
You know what I mean?
But I have it by Valentine's Day. I just have it all by the season. And I love it. And I don't care what's happening. I will find the time to decorate.
That's what I don't know how you do it. So it was Easter time and you had the table settings. You had these plates with the bunnies and I'm like, look at all of this. This is amazing. It just was like, and you do it yourself.
Yes.
I feel like it took a lot for me. I had 3 little hearts. Like they were placemats. I bought them somewhere, 3 little hearts, and there was a pack of 4, so it was 4. I put them on my counter, and then I went and I had this little tiny box of a couple of hearts. It's a box. It's so small. It's a shirt box, and I felt I was doing something this year.
That's all your decorations in the shirt box.
Yeah, that was it. It was for Valentine's Day.
That would have just been like by the front door in my house.
Yeah, I know. I need to take it. And so my daughter loves to decorate. My mother-in-law, they love doing that's Erica's passion. So
I love Erica. I love her.
Yeah. So, but you take it to another level.
I love it. And
you need to put in your next book, pictures of the various holidays.
Oh, that would be fabulous. Kenny said he thought he would leave. I'd back off a little bit when we, when the empty nest came.
No.
He said, it seems like I've gotten worse. I said, yeah, because I really want it to be special for them, like when they come home.
When they come back.
Like nobody's coming for Valentine's Day. I said, you don't know that. They love me. They might be here for Valentine's.
You do it in the middle of the night?
That's pretty much.
Or whenever the spirit moves you, like
it's usually the middle of the night or like Sunday after church. If we don't have a game, I'll come in after church and I'm like, okay, because to me that's just like the best time. Growing up for me, that was the best time of the week. We'd go to church. We'd come in and we always went back at night, but there was always that time between like 2 and 6 p.m. where it was just quiet.
Where the church clothes come off and the play clothes go on.
And you're just relaxing because you got all your homework and stuff done like on Saturday. And so that's still like a very special time for me. And so usually when I'm doing my decorating, it's after I come home from church on a Sunday and I'm just kind of getting it all together. I love it.
Well, it sounds like if she needs an apprentice, Erica might be a good apprentice.
Yeah.
Oh, and she is amazing. My niece is amazing. She'd be a great apprentice. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's very artistic, and she's teaching me about doing the makeup thing and so forth.
And she's so smart. I love her.
Yes, well, thank you. This has been a joy. I'm so happy that Steve and other people get to see a side of you that I've come to endure. That I love. I mean, I don't mind sharing, but I know that I have a special place in your heart as you and me.
Sister. You are my sister.
Thank you for always being such a joy to talk to embrace. I mean, every little you amaze me because you just have this energy, and I appreciate you. And please continue being you. I can't wait till I see you the next time. Hopefully, one day soon. Yeah. Maybe at a game.
Yeah.
Steve. But again, thank you. Do you have anything else for Cynt?
So you've been chosen. Obviously, that's you can get that anywhere that anybody can read anything. Pretty much, it's all it's all over the place. So check that out. I've got the audio book in my car right now, ready to roll.
I love it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on this. This has been awesome.
I love y'all.
I love you. Thank you so much. Take care. And good luck with the rest of the season.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Okay, so you weren't lying.
I told you.
She's awesome.
She is amazing. The energy, I just don't know where she gets it.
I feel like I've just been doing my whole life wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like just the positive thinking of just no, we're going to have a positive attitude about this. And the difference that's made, like even in the word balance versus integration.
When she said, I don't do balance, I was like, oh, integration, right? I'm thinking that's like a business. Okay.
Oh, this is some,
we're going like a transactional type thing, but it made sense.
Yeah.
And I feel like, okay, I got that all wrong.
Right.
Because balance makes it seem like something's out of place.
Right.
Amazing.
Oh, so good.
I don't feel like I learned much about her through this interview. And that's the crazy thing, because I feel like who she is, she shares it with you from the jump. Her life's an open book. She teaches you so many things.
One of the hardest things of this whole thing is we obviously do our little, she jumps on, and I just wanted to jump right in. I actually had to you have to stop talking for just long enough for us to bring you back on. Because
she has that. And the thing is, and she understands time. Can you see how she just kind of went through her story? She was just moving.
Yeah.
And it's just like, she knows I got a little bit of time. I got a little bit of this. And she knows how to keep that flow going. And I'm so glad that you got to meet her.
Yeah. It looks like I'm getting a crystal ball out of the whole deal. Who knew that would be a thing?
That's crystal ball and the rubber ball analogy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I think this is good. We're going to learn a lot from people.
I think we are. And
these little nuggets.
I'm so glad we're back doing this. And yeah, we're going to keep lining them up. We're going to keep bringing on moms and people talking about their moms. And
she's going to be a tough one, though.
I mean, if we're talking about setting bars like Cynt Marshall, even just from an energy standpoint,
the energy alone.
But we've got some great guests, and I'm really excited to do this with you. And this has been the Mother Load Show, and we'll see you on the next one.
Take care.